Good day, fish tankers. Today we've got something different. I'm here in Gezina, Tshwane with Mullis Moolman, and this is Aquatic Plants SA. You know the website. They ship through the whole of South Africa, not only aquatic plants but also the kind of plants that you use for your terrariums, your paludariums. I'm going to leave a link to their website in the description below the video. Mullis, let's go and take a look.
Welcome.
Okay, what do we have here on the floor? It looks like hydrocotyle.
That's basically, I give that away to customers. That's one of the best plants here. You will see on my website. It's really cheap. It's not
ground cover.
It's a ground cover for your aquarium, but they sell.
Okay. And you've got a heating system here. It looks like a huge radiator. Just tell us about the system.
It's an evaporative cooler.
Okay.
I'm just going to switch it on so you can feel the difference between on and off. There we go. It's gonna stop. I double pressed. You're gonna feel it's nice and cool.
Yeah.
So there's water falling through here. You can see it's nice and wet because the moss is going there. But you can feel the difference immediately.
Yeah.
That humidity you felt when you came in, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's really nice, but it's really noisy. So I'm gonna just switch it off again.
Okay, what else?
What we do for aquarium plants is, and moss, we do it behind you.
Okay.
Just go down a little bit. You can see this is where we cultivate moss.
Moss cultivation.
Yeah.
And these they can grow submerged.
Most of these are immersed, but the submerged are in the other tunnel. And there you can see all the. This is the aquarium plants. And this is a small fraction, the one that you will know.
Liliopsis brasiliensis.
No, this is New Zealandia or New. And then
so when you plant these underwater, they're going to take a while to convert.
That's right. You're going to lose.
So you have some dieback and then it comes back.
Right. But the reason why we do it this way is it's in soil. So it's much healthier than that filter floss that you buy it in.
The rock wool.
The rock wool. So they adapt really fast and they grow exceptionally well.
Okay.
I've experimented initially with rock wool, and I decided I'm not going to use rock wool on the
So when we buy from you from the website, how does it arrive?
It arrives as a portion, so we won't take out of here because it's mixed. We'll take out of one of the others, and it's a portion according to the species.
Here's some purple leaf waffle plant. Is that what I'm looking at, or is it something else?
Yeah.
And that's a plant more for the bog, outside of the water, for your paludarium style setups.
You do see it in pet shops sold as an aquarium plant, but it's not an actual aquarium.
I always tell people don't bother if you're not going to use it in a paludarium because it's going to.
They love wet feet, but they hate to be submerged.
There you go, people. We've said it many times. Purple waffle plant, great for paludarium. Now we've got the ponds, the aquarium plants. Okay.
The pond plants. We are shareholders of the farm, and we buy and we get it from the farms. So that's only basically what we expect to sell within the next week or 2 weeks. Okay. That's in there. On this side is aquarium plants. This is growing like weed. Yeah, we actually have to.
We've got pole-weed here or Rotala, right?
No, it's not. It's pole-weed.
It's pole-weed.
Yeah. And then some Amazon swords that we.
All right, I recognize them.
And this one is an old tub. But
this looks like money wort, or is it Vigia?
It's Bacopa.
So got Bacopa monieri here.
Hier is Bacopa amplexicola.
Okay, Bacopa amplexicola. That's a purple one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in peak season it's totally purple. And there's Moineri.
Okay.
And for those guys with aquariums, we will not sell out of this one. We will sell out of this one because this one is clean and ready.
No algae.
That's right. And there's Rutalas growing there. And there's bits and pieces because we only start in January to put plants in here because we need the algae cycle to complete. So all of these are basically last season's growth.
And what do you have on the substrate here in these
Basically, I put food in the water, and the substrate is just
gravel.
It's just gravel.
Okay.
Otherwise, controlling algae and stuff like that is becoming a problem.
Okay, so you don't feed stem plants, in my understanding, they mostly feed from a water column.
That's correct.
But they also take a little bit from the substrate.
A little bit.
But you don't feed in the substrate. You just put in liquid fertilizer.
But before they come in here, they've got we make sure that the root system are very, very strong. So they've got an exceptional good root system.
Yes.
And that way they can overwinter in here, and it's not a crisis.
Okay.
It's not a crisis.
Okay.
And then up there, there's a few other bits and pieces. MM again. And Ritala again. Bacopa.
What is MM?
It's not
Microsorum
or something.
Microsorum something.
We've got 1,000 species here, so I tend to forget the names.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. Here's some lotus lilies as well.
That's normal lilies.
Okay. Normal lilies.
A normal lily and a lotus, I'm going to show you. I've got real lotuses around the corner here. A normal lily, the pads will always stay on the surface.
Yes.
And it will never lift up.
Okay.
If it lifts up like that, it means we disturbed it.
Okay.
While a lotus lily, and these are actually going on the website this week. A lotus lily, the first leaves are on the water, and the second batch of leaves will be on top, and will actually stand up at least that high.
So what I'm looking at now are these the lotus lilies that you buy for the aquarium trade?
No.
These are not. These are the pond versions.
This is a pond plant, and this is the one that you see in gardens.
Yes.
On the porches.
Yes.
In a big pot where the leaves actually are standing up and there's water at the bottom.
Okay.
And they form the real lotus flower.
Okay.
So this is a real lotus, and these we do from seeds of a previous season.
Okay, we now have terrarium plants here, right?
A lot of different experimentations again. A brilliant terrarium plant, Silaginella.
Okay.
It's as hardy as nails.
Okay.
To kill them is very difficult.
Okay, and here we have Bulbitis.
Deformis. Yeah. So we actually take the portions out of here.
Okay.
So you can see on that side we've taken the portions, so that's starting to grow, but we are coming this way now.
And then when we're done here, it's growing at the back again.
Because we always plant back again, and it's going to grow on that side.
And the rhizomes are on top of soil, and you've got some. What soil do you have underneath?
It's a soil that keeps water as much as possible. You can see it can make clay balls, but it's still airy.
Okay.
Because we don't want to fight fungus all the time.
Okay.
And I'm checking how much light Anubias can handle. You can see this one is too close.
Okay.
So everywhere, as I said, everywhere there's experiments.
Hygrophila.
Yeah.
Wisteria.
And look, they're in flower now.
Yes.
So this is what they look like, and I like the leaves to look like this. Because they adapt to water much faster from leaves looking like this than those really hard leaves.
Okay. Lots and lots of plants. What do we have here? These nice pinkish plants.
Pelea. This is one of the hardiest plants for a terrarium, and you get a lot of different ones.
Okay.
In colors. That's a silver. This is another silver. So it's two different silvers.
So for your standard terrarium.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite plants. They are interesting in the sense if they get a lot of light, then they look like this. When they get low light, they look like that. And if they get really low light, we've moved them. The leaves will actually go to about 15 centimeters. Okay,
this one we all know is Repens or Gini, however you pronounce it. Repens. Yeah. Nice foreground plant.
And it's very, very hardy. It's one of the nicest plants, and you can see when we sell, we start in the middle and work our way out.
I do have them in my aquarium as well. They seem to sort of run a little bit like Valis. Yeah.
Another terrarium plant. If you give enough light, it's going to stay nice and low. But what's nice about these are, if you If you've got growth that's too much, you can just pinch it off like I've done now, and just press that into the soil and it will grow.
Okay, much like stem plants.
Yeah.
Okay, and we've got enough, but I see some nice things there on the next aisle. Let's go to that aisle there.
There's a lot of on the
Okay, so we have
Alexa.
Agrophilia tripartita, or mini. Okay, that's a nice thing to sort of drape over the hardscape and also grow out of the water.
Yeah, and then a few hydroxyl tripartita mixed with 3 or 4 other species in here.
Okay.
So a variety of whatever.
And these palms, these little love palms is what I call them.
It's love palms.
Are they good terrarium plants?
Brilliant for terrarium. You can see in the humidity here, you feel what I mean. It's nice and high humidity. They thrive in this.
Do they want a closed or open terrarium?
They can handle closed easy, but open is perfect as well.
Okay. All right. Now this plant here I saw in a paludarium at Aqua Empire yesterday. What is that? Nice.
That's a begonia, and there's a wide variety. I think we've got 8 or 9 varieties that we do, and I've actually got a new one in yesterday. Let me just see where. There we go. I've got a new one in yesterday that we will have available in a year's time. Look at that.
Oh, that's very nice. And that's also a terrarium plant.
That's correct.
All right. Okay. What have we got here?
Hydroctals simensis.
Okay, it's an aquarium plant.
That's correct.
Okay, what we've got here?
This is where we do Valles.
Vallisneria.
Normal Valles. You can see I need to hide them a little bit. And that's why we've put the plastic in, because if they get direct sunlight, they turn red. And a lot of people tell me they don't want the red, and others tell me there's a disease in my plants. These are the plants that was excess last week. And they didn't use it, so what will happen with these, they will either be planted again or move to another pond.
I've had a lot of success with Vallisneria myself. A lot of my tanks, if you look at the channel, they're based around it, the low-tech stuff. And mine is dirted substrate, meaning there's sand and below there's a layer of compost, potting soil, peat, and a little bit of bone meal.
That's I've been in a hobby for 45, nearly 50 years. And my first tank was a dirted tank.
It's a cheaper
so
way.
I know. No, there was nothing else available, man.
You didn't have aqua swells.
At that stage, when you went to a pet shop and you want soil, they would give you gravel.
Yeah.
Normal gravel.
That's gravel.
Not even quartz gravel. They will just give you gravel.
Yeah.
So we at that stage I was the chairman of Jacaranda Aquarium Club. Clubs don't exist anymore, but and this is one of the plants that was easy then and even easy now. Now, something important that I always advise customers is do that when you receive the plant.
You take off all the leaves.
Yep.
I've seen that with crypts as well. That tip.
They're gonna rot away. There's no way they're gonna survive. What you need is a healthy is that piece that must be healthy.
That's the crown, basically.
That's right. The crown. So from there to there. That must be healthy. That's healthy. The game is won.
You plant the crowns. Because what I've noticed initially, what happens, the leaves die back, but they send out runners.
That's correct.
So runners going out. So at the back of my aquarium is these short little nothing runners, and then suddenly, when those runners reached the bottom of their roots, it went viral. If I can
and that's what
use a cliche.
and that's what we use here. So if I plant it, normally I try and in here we keep more than one attached. That way they will grow faster. If you just plant one, it's gonna, as you said, it's gonna be very slow. And it's gonna make new runners. If it's attached to another runner, for our purposes, that's what we will plant. You see, it's all in one string, and we plant it together.
Okay. And you pinch off the leaves and leave a crown.
That's right. And that way it will grow really fast, and it will make a really nice plant.
All right. That's kind of counterintuitive because you want the immediate results, right? So we don't want to do that.
A lot of people they don't understand that and hate it, but that's the best for the plant.
Yeah. Would you say one can do that with Amazon swords as well? Should you do it?
Amazon swords, if the leaves was out of the water, for sure.
Okay.
When we plant them, we actually cut off all the leaves, except if it was grown underwater.
Okay. So all the emerged growth you'll cut
all
off,
the emerged growth,
and you'll do basically the same as you did with the Vallisneria. All right. And I see you've got duckweed as well.
Yeah, it's a pest. We actually make a fire here and burn them, and there's a few other pests in here.
Do you know what it works for well? If you've got goldfish I don't know if you have any, but
No.
they'll eat the duckweed and it'll keep them regular and they won't get the floats.
I was a fish breeder, and I've got more than 100 species under my belt.
Okay.
And when I say species under my belt, means
You've bred them.
I've bred them, and I raised the babies, and I bred the babies as well.
Generations.
Yeah. So
okay.
if I've done it that way, Professor Bert Pauling told me about this, and I keep that rule. Otherwise, it could have been much more than 100. And then Rotala, you can see.
The rule now being is that you breed the fish and you breed the next generation.
That's correct. And
so you develop a line.
That's right. You can see that's submerged form of Rotalas.
Okay.
And this is immersed.
Okay.
Can you see it on the camera? We must remove it.
I think we can just.
Let's remove one. Okay. This one with submerged and immersed. There's a better one.
Okay.
Rotala, you get immersed.
Right.
Leaves and submerged leaves.
Yes.
When you get it from us, it's going to be immersed leaves always.
Yeah.
And then submerged leaves will form, and it will look like that. The colors will be is actually in that part, and not in the Rotala you receive from us.
I see.
The Rotala you receive from us are all basically, if you look at them, it's a Rotala and a Rotala and a Rotala.
Okay.
But once it's submerged, the colors change.
All right.
You can see there it's starting to color up.
Okay.
And this is a different variety of Rotala that's growing there.
All right.
You can see now like heel one is a gladers op hulle staan.
All in the gravel. And these are bog plants for ponds that we see here.
Yeah.
What do we have here?
This is a plant that everybody always asks, Hygrophila.
Hygrophila, yeah.
This actually is a really easy plant. When you get it, let me just break off a piece. Yeah. When you get the plant, you can actually plant each and every node.
Okay.
This is Hygrophila deformis, and you can literally plant every single node. You can see there's 2 new leaves. That's what I'm looking for. The moment I see those 2 new leaves, it means this leaf is unnecessary.
Okay.
Now if I've got time, I will cut that off.
Yeah.
But we've got always so many projects here that I will literally just cut it into pieces and plant
and stick it in
the ground, and that's
another thing
that's planted. That's
I wasn't very successful with them, but I got them when the leaves looked like a carrot top.
Yeah.
Right, and then I planted them in the tank, and they stood for a while and they fell apart.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe it was my water, but
or it might have been in a pet shop too long.
What do we have over here?
Okay. Phylloxera candens. This is a brilliant plant if you want to have something that's growing in the water and the points grow outside. They really love it, and they're really hardy and fast growing.
Okay.
This is something that's really interesting. Normally when we want color in plants, we give them a lot of light.
Okay.
But if you take the color, if you take the light away, look, it turns blue.
All right.
This is the by far our best seller, but we can never
blue peacock fern.
Yeah, we can never stay in front.
Okay, these are now obviously terrarium plants again. What are we looking at this? Yeah, beautiful color.
It's called Nanook. It's the color. You might recognize the shape of the leaves as a normal garden plant that your granny always kept in the garden.
Okay.
But this is a new variety. It's pink.
And here's another couple of plants here, and then I want to get to this. This looks interesting. Looks almost like a what do you call them, a nerve plant, but it's not.
Yeah.
What are these?
This is peperomia.
A peperomia.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you get we do 4 colors. This is the pink. This is new because we had it out in a normal garden, and now we're going to cultivate them so they can have smaller leaves that's adapted for terrarium.
All right.
So a lot of our plants, when we put them in here, it's not ready for your terrarium, but the moment it adapted, we'll sell them.
Okay. All right. Here's another carnivorous plant with that bugle.
Yeah.
With what we've got here,
we've got a variety of Rotalas, Ludwigias, and that's because the winter is actually only over for us now. We will transplant them.
Okay, so we've got aquarium plants sitting here on this rack
and
again.
that you will only see on the website in 2 months' time.
Okay.
And this is not an aquarium plant. I get a lot of people that wants to buy this because it's gorgeous, and they want to put it in an aquarium, but it's not. And what's really interesting is at the back they're totally red, in front they're green.
All right.
And you can see a new leaf has got this scales like a lizard or something.
Okay. These trays at my feet, what are they?
That's all different ferns.
Okay.
For terrariums.
All right. And they gone in 4 weeks, you say?
Yeah, 4 weeks they're all sold out.
Wow.
And this one specifically is one of my favorites. Look at the adults we've got here. And we do them from spores. Look at the adult leaves.
So what do you do with the spores?
The spores is on the back of the leaf.
But you put them just put them in the ground.
We collect them, we send them to the lab, and the lab actually cultivate them and get them to actually make a baby plant, and then they go into trays like that, wait for about 6 months, and then they come here.
Look at the heating system going there, people. I'm sweating buckets. I'm going to have to go and take a shower before I go to tonight's event.
Nemophila variegata. This is actually a really underappreciated aquarium plant, in my opinion. It doesn't sell that great, and the reason why it doesn't sell that great, in my humble opinion, is people don't know about it.
Okay, I don't know about it.
And
so this is new for me.
You just switch that off so you don't burn. The variegation, even submerged, the variegation would come through.
Okay. Oh, these I've seen in terrariums. They're very nice.
Oxalis.
What can you tell us about Oxalis?
Oxalis, they stay nice and small and compact. You can trim them back if they're too big, and they will make a bush. And you get 4 different colors in them. This is the red one, and then you get 2 orange ones and a green one.
And anything in particular in soil?
Actually, our terrarium soil mix that we make, it's very similar to what we use here, except in here there's nutrients and stuff.
Okay.
It works brilliant for
Okay.
it. There's another type of Oxalis, but obviously we can't see.
We're not going to get there. So we've got an experiment here with Cryptocoryne plants. This is aquarium plants. Crypt Tropica, it says there.
Yeah, that one is Tropica, the others are all different. And we're experimenting with different soil mixes, so we can get the results that you can see here.
Okay.
Look, it's growing outside.
Okay.
So this one, I know this mix is good for this species. But we're gonna we're doing the experimentation per species, because they're not all the same.
Okay. Okay, what we've got here, we've got the Java ferns here.
Yeah, on this side it's assorted because we've got fishtails and everything mixed here. On this side is what I took out, what I thought will be the normal Java fern that you get locally. But I see there's a few in here that should not be here.
What can people expect when they buy this Java fern and you put it in an aquarium? Is there going to be a complete dieback and then it comes back, or
the leaves will slowly turn black like this?
Yeah.
And what we love it to see leaves like this, because these leaves are stressed and they will make babies.
Okay.
So in your aquarium, they will start to make babies on the leaf.
Little plantlets.
There's nothing here at the moment because it's the wrong time of year. But once they make babies, you just literally just leave it until the roots are about 1.5 centimeters long, and then you can take it off, and you can see here.
Okay.
We just plant them and they grow. And
okay, so in an aquarium you'll put them on your hardscape. Yeah.
And they are epiphyte, so that they appreciate being on the
What other things that Java ferns need? Because I had them in an aquarium that were growing like wildfire for years. Every month or two I had to throw out handfuls, and then they just started dying and I never could get them to grow again. And I had fluorescent lights on top, aqua glows, on a very long, it was on in the morning when I got up, and I'd off it when I went to bed late at night. So it was sort of 3 fluorescent tubes and a 4-foot tank, and it grew like gangbusters. And then I changed to, they were all on the Mopani wood, but I changed the substrates from pool filter sand to a dark black sand, and then it sort of started dying back. And then
they don't like change.
They don't like change.
They love.
And then when I got LED lights, and then everything died. You know, and I never could get them going again.
They love things to be constant. Once they start to grow, they adapted to that situation.
Yeah.
I will not move this. I might move it from that side to this side,
Yeah.
but I know they're happy here. So in a few months' time, when I see all the leaves look like that, I will put them on the market because they're ideal for an aquarium in that sense, because they're going to turn black and they're going to make babies.
All right. Okay. Interesting.
And then you can see why I say I need to wait for it, because that's not a normal.
Okay. So that's the secret of Java Fern, they don't change.
Yeah.
Okay.
Experimentation with dews, different feedings and different light. This was only done about 3 weeks ago, so it doesn't look really appetizing at all. But in about 3-4 months, we will see what the results is. This is the first Ritalos that was planted out now.
Okay.
So that should be another 2 months, and then they will be perfect. And this whole tray will be full of them. Experimenta.
Anubias experiments going here.
This side is experimentation with Anubias and a few other plants. And this side is the ones that's for sale.
Okay.
So there as you can see on this one, we're going for a little bit drier soil to see what happens.
So you have them in the soil when you are immersed like this, but in the aquarium you don't plant them.
It's not totally buried, except for a few species like Congensis.
So the rhizome is still on top.
That's right. And the rhizome here is just buried. As we found, and that's why I do experimentation. Normally I had it totally on top. And we found with Congensis and a few others that they actually like to be buried a little bit. Okay. So it's really a few millimeters that they are buried.
Right.
And here you can see they don't like it to be buried, so they on top. This is basically sold out. So, but on this side as well, just a little bit buried, but not a lot. A fraction of. All
right. Got that. Another abuse experiment here.
Yeah. And all of these trays, and then an experiment that we are really proud of, Deformis baby leaf. We've got a new strain that's actually
this is a Graphilia deformis.
That's right. No, baby leaf.
Baby leaf.
Yeah, let me just get a piece there of a leaf. What's different between this one and a normal baby leaf is at the back it's green as well.
What's the plant's name?
It's on our website as baby leaf green.
Okay.
I can't remember the
This is an aquarium plant.
Yeah, it's an aquarium plant. It's absolutely, it looks like it's glowing in aquariums.
All right.
But we're the only people in the world that's got this, because it was an experiment with different hormones in a lab that we got this from.
All right.
As in life, everybody's got failures. This is our failure with Repens. Rapanda, Hemigraphis rapanda.
Okay.
It was a big failure. You can see I've lost nearly all of them, but that's why we do it, because we don't want to repeat this.
Okay.
Once we've made a mistake, we don't repeat it.
So here are aquarium plants. We've got some crypts here. It's carnivorous plants of tops, but you're growing some crypts there in the buckets. Am I correct?
Yeah. This is all cryptocorenes in there. With different feeding at root feedings, so we can see which ones are going to grow the easiest under in submerged conditions. These carnivorous plants that's here is going to go out next week. Okay. We just build a new tunnel for them, so then the crypts will get a lot of light. And then we've got Aponogetans.
I see, yeah. And these little round Aponogetan. Okay, see it. And then we've got some Ludwigia around here.
No, that's Aponogeton as well.
These?
Sorry. Dias Ludwigia as well. Okay. And then a lot of different plants in here. And this is, we've got 5 of these ponds where we've got a different variety of food that we put in there in terms of liquid to see what was growing the best. And this is where we do the other part of the green experiment, where we do liquid fertilization in the water. Okay. For me, maximum growth is not the most important part. Maximum health is the most important part. Yeah. So I don't sell plants because they grow fast. Yeah. I want to sell plants because they're going to survive in my customers' tanks.
Okay. Good. Let's go here. We've got more aquarium plants in between there.
Again, Vallises and a few other, a new variety of Vallis that we're experimenting with. That's in here. It's got a nice white line, but I want to make sure it's nice and healthy, so I'm not going to sell them this year. It's only for next year. Pond plants, waterblommetjies in Afrikaans. I don't know what
we call it, waterblommetjies, loosely translated, water flowers, but we cook it actually.
Yeah.
We make it into a stew with meat and other things. Yeah.
The season just turned, so you can see it's flowering.
Here's another variety of Vallisneria.
It's giant Vallis, but it's a rubra. It's a red one.
That's quite nice, eh? And here we have some Blue Dream shrimps in here as well.
They're actually,
if the camera can catch them.
Actually in all the ponds.
In all the ponds.
Except there with that one we just.
And they go indoors in the winter.
Yeah. And if you want a plant that can go mad and you've always got a problem to maintain it, that's the species.
That's what you call MM.
Yeah, I call it MM. It's Microsorum. Yeah, I can't remember. Savannah, how do you pronounce the word? The MM?
Micranthomoids.
Come again?
Micranthemum, micranthomoids.
There you have it, people. We've got a linguist here among us.
Yeah, that's, if I need a name, I always call Savannah. And then another few species of plants in here to see on nutrients and adaptability.
What do we have here in the blue, in the green tub?
I don't know what they've planted there. So, and I don't see a tag.
Looks like a sort of a micro Vallis.
Yeah,
it's dwarf sage, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's a dwarf Sagittaria. It looks like.
More submerged aquarium plants. Okay. More aquarium plants. What have we got here? I see there's some Java fin going up in the air. Am I correct?
So that one is fish. It's called fishtail.
Yes.
So as I identify them on that side, I'll bring them here.
Okay.
This is our backup for.
There's some ball biters.
Yeah. Baby leaves.
Yes.
That's our backup. And from here, if you want something in the lab, it will go from here.
Okay.
Because there's no chemicals that we use on this side. On that side, when we get new plants in, we use chemicals. On this side, we don't use any chemicals.
Okay.
Right there at the back, you can see it's another variety that we just got in. So it must.
Goes the door.
Yeah. So this is not the normal, the standard. This is a standard leaf. Then you can get something like that, or you can get something like that.
Okay.
This is a pest by us.
These are the MM again.
No.
Something different. It's
yes, I can't.
Bacopa
Monnieri.
Bacopa Monnieri.
You can see here.
Yeah.
It's like a pest. And then here is when we're going to do a terrarium for a customer, we actually acclimatize the plants here. So when we build a terrarium, there's no dieback or anything.
So you set up terrariums for customers.
Correct.
You go to their premises and you do the thing.
Yeah, but I'm not the cheapest in the country.
No, I can imagine. Yeah.
No, it's basically if my prices is reasonable, I will never have time to work here.
Yeah.
So we charge prime for the customer that really wants it. And then we do all this effort to make sure when we add it into a customer's aquarium.
Okay.
Up there you'll see Alternatheras growing.
Reneki.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got a couple of stems that I put into my latest aquarium. It was a redone aquarium, and they're actually growing and actually staying red without the CO2.
Okay. This is where we actually experimented with the baby leaves to get them nice and green.
Okay.
You can see that with the light here it's much better.
Okay.
And this is awesome. This is an absolute awesome plant. Again,
how would you plant the baby leaves? Do you actually plant them in the substrate?
I plant them in substrate, but when you do it in your terrarium, in your aquarium, you can actually it's a type of fern basically, so it can be an epiphyte, but they don't like it when fish nibble on their roots. So I would rather plant them a little bit.
So you can plant them a little bit, and there's a rhizome, I assume, that needs to stay open.
But it's really you can
just plant them normally.
So when you plant them, just do it like this one.
Okay.
Let me just remove this one. You can see there's a rhizome, and you can plant them up to there where my fingers are.
Okay. So like a normal aquarium plant, really. Right. And what are these bigger plants?
There's different species there. We got seeds from a breeder in Asia. So that is basically, I believe, a cryptocurine, but this is not. There's some other species in here that it's ended up not being
Okay. Have you put them in an aquarium yet?
Yes,
and
and
what do they do
they grow.
They grow.
Exactly like a crypto. So I think what happened is he's doing experiments like me, and that's why we met. And he ended up having this one, and it's growing. And then when I asked him what's this, he said, I don't know. And again, another crypto green just full. There's a few cryptos in here.
Okay.
Yeah, as well.
All right.
Let's see what's here again.
Okay.
Java ferns. I love them. It's one of the nicest plants to work with because they're slow. You don't need to see them every week. Every day you can see them once a week, and
this is hydrocotyle.
Yeah.
A big hydrocotyle.
Hydrocotyle. Yeah. You get 3 different ones. The one with the round leaf.
Yeah.
The total round leaf grows nice and big. Then you get one with
tripartita.
Here we go.
Yeah.
It's got that niche in it.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest that's going to grow.
Okay.
So if you want a little bit smaller, you do this one. If you want bigger, you do that one, or you do tripartita, and that's extremely small.
Yes.
And there you can see another Amazon sword growing.
Another Echinodorus. All right.
No? Amazon, yes. Sorry.
Sorry. That Anubias, that one. An Anubias.
All
right. Another Amazon sword.
Yeah. Anubias. There's another Anubias. So
some big ones.
Yeah. There's experimentations everywhere. Literally.
Okay. This is your pest plant, Bacopa monieri.
Monieri, yeah. And they're gorgeous. But unfortunately, you can see the Rutalas are fighting for light. So.
And this just works with ambient light. There's no electric lights here. It just goes through
nothing.
In this humid environment.
No, look, there's no the roof is gone. So this is normal Pretoria weather, winter, summer. On this side, and I do that on purpose because I want my plants to be as healthy as possible.
Yeah.
So I put them through winter.
What are we looking at here?
Experiments here on this side, and there it's a new variety of plant that we fern that we got. So I've taken some cuttings to see how we're going to propagate them. In here is an old experiment that I never had time to come back. So you will see a few aquarium plants everywhere here. Look how big our friend the deformus is growing in here.
Agrifolia deformus.
Yeah, look, they're massive. Rutalas and stuff in there. Let's just see.
Yeah.
Another hydrocotyle.
Hydrocotyle.
Roripa aquatica, where we breed them.
Come again, this is Roripa aquatica.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, this is a very interesting plant. In winter, they will have leaves like this. In summer, they will have leaves like this.
Okay.
And in your aquarium, they will have a totally different look. It's even finer than that.
Okay.
And a lot of people tell me, but they can't adapt. This is one of the easiest plants to get to adapt from here into your aquarium.
You just plant them.
Just plant them and leave them, they will grow. They're going to lose these leaves, but they will make awesome leaves.
That's a trick, you know, if you plant something in your aquarium and it just reduces to nothing, just stay with it, it'll come back.
Just give it time. Plants are, I think they're intelligent. Because plants, they can work with you.
Yeah.
It's not like they're trying to fight you. Yeah. Well, if they fight you, it's because you're doing something totally wrong.
Okay, we're in the greenhouse now, standing here looking at carnivorous plants. What are these on top? Venus flytraps?
Yeah,
looks to me.
Venus flytraps. That's one variety. We do 20 different varieties. That's just one of them.
Okay.
And then we do sundews.
Sundews is over there by you.
Yeah, it's these. And,
right.
and what's called sundews, check when I touch it. Look, it's very sticky.
Okay.
I'm going to show you plants outside that's full of insects, but we keep them here because people don't want to receive a plant full of insects.
They want to be clean.
So the ones for sale is in here and the others is outside. These guys love full sun as much as possible. So.
And what do you plant them in? What is your planting medium?
The planting media is sterile.
Sterile, okay.
In terms of feeding. So it's a peat moss, a bog peat moss, so it's pure peat moss and perlite.
Perlite.
And it's a mixture of different percentages according to the species.
And they get their nutrition from insects?
Basically sun, and then insects is a bonus.
Okay, if you have these carnivorous plants, do you have to feed them insects? You have to find...
I don't recommend it, and we don't feed.
Okay.
We've got quite a few thousand plants, so it's impossible for us to feed. But if you look at those, the small ones in these square pots here, these small
yes,
square
these
pots,
small nice red ones,
was the size of my pinky nail,
okay.
the whole plant last
okay.
year, and you can see the difference in growth. So
okay, so they grow slowly.
Yeah,
slow growth.
They take 3 years before they can flower.
Okay, I'm just going to bounce around here.
Yeah.
And down here, what do we have here by my feet? It seems like a sort of a little mini bog going on here.
That's just a few odds and ends.
Okay.
And you'll see why I say, because when we get to the other side,
okay.
there's odds and ends everywhere.
Okay.
And experiments.
Okay.
I love experimentation, so we're always experimenting with
okay.
plants, and in low light and high light and whatever,
right.
and mediums.
Okay. All carnivorous plants.
Yeah.
What is this? It looks almost like a moss here.
It is moss.
It is moss.
Yeah. Moss love the environment, so basically all the plants will have moss on it.
Okay.
And we sell the moss, if we say a portion, it's about that size.
Okay, so when you're planting these carnivorous plants in a terrarium environment, you need a high light, that's
yeah.
an obvious thing, and then a less rich substrate, like you said, peat
yeah.
moss and perlite, high light, and it will be fine. You don't need to bother about insects and stuff if it's closed.
You can just make sure that you add springtails.
Okay.
They will eat the springtails, but the springtails will keep the medium
okay.
nice and healthy as well.
But this is, if it's an enclosed terrarium,
no problem.
No problem.
As
but it's
long
going to
as
be it'll have to be a sort of a desert thing, not one of these
it's
tropical
highlight.
stuff.
It's not. They can handle your humidity. You can feel in
okay.
there. The humidity
okay.
is nice and high.
Yeah.
But they don't really need it. It's not
okay.
a required item. And you can see the dew on that one. Look at how beautiful that dew is.
Okay, so the insect come and sit there and they get
right.
get
stuck and they eat them.
But the main thing is sunlight, some springtails in your substrate, and they actually.
And you can see this one was eating, and
okay.
look, it's not as nice as that one.
Yeah.
Because it's using its energy to eat.
Okay.
And once all these insects are consumed, it will look like that one again. Yeah. We've got a few of those strange things in here, and you can see we're always busy. So be careful with your slips. This is where we cultivate the moss for final retail, and the reason why it's kept open like this is to make sure if your terrarium is not totally sealed, that they can adapt to it as well.
Okay.
And we want to make sure that they don't get a little bit of fungus. You can see here's fungus in this one.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And these plants, lucky bamboo.
Yeah.
Right. And these are plants that are quite popular nowadays. If you have these open top aquariums like Pothos, where you suck out the nitrates, you hang them over a tank.
You can see in this one, this is one week's sales. It was full like that one at the back, and but a lot of our plants we only have it on the website, say for 3 weeks or something in a year, and the rest of the time we actually cultivating them, because at the moment I'm keeping these back. You can see there's babies forming.
All right. What do we have here at the back? Here's some interesting stuff.
This is Nepenthes. They form pitchers. This one actually had an insect problem. You can see that it didn't form nice there. But these pitchers get nice and big. You can see here.
It's like another carnivorous plant. The insect falls in there.
Insect, and they've got a smell. Let me just have a look while you check. I just want to have a look.
And the insect here in. Carnivorous plants.
What is the
Right.
They form dew on this on this line here, and then the insect walk up there, especially mira, ants, and they walk up, and then flies as well. They attract a lot of flies, and what happens is they end up here, and then they fall in. And you can see there on that one, if you can see that one,
yes,
you see there's teeth on it.
Yes,
and that's
small serrated
so
surface.
If a fly lands there, there's no surface for him to attach himself, and he falls inside.
Okay, interesting.
And I'm going to show you another one outside where you can see they're full of flies.
As in planting these, here's another sort of a dew plant here. It looks quite gorgeous, cool, eh? Huh? It looks like a sort of an alien plant.
Yeah.
You can have a nice Marscape there with
Actually,
a red substrate.
Yeah.
And the carnivorous plants, in terms of planting them with other plants that you have in your terrarium.
Yeah.
Is there some things that you can, some things that you can't, things that you have to look out for?
The moment you mix them with other plants, the other plants are going to grow much slower because there's no nutrients for them.
Okay, yes, so that's your thing,
But I told you I'm doing a lot of experiments. There you can see that there's an aquarium plant that I've put in there.
That looks like, what is that? Rotala? Alternanthera.
Alternanthera.
Okay, Alternanthera.
And you can see the leaves are a little bit different, and it's it's growing very slow, but it looks nice and beautiful.
Okay, okay.
So there's always a little bit of experimentation everywhere going on. Because if you don't experiment in life, you're never going to get.
You're never going to hit the winning combination.
Tot die 20ste Oktober het ons 'n koue spel gehad.
Okay, so you had a cold spell, yeah.
Yeah, and because of the cold spell, you can see a lot of the plants have got white.
Right. So
even like yeah.
Okay, I see. So that's a cold spell.
That's a cold spell, and I just leave them. They will color up a little bit, and they will grow.
So what's the optimum temperature for them?
They don't like to go below 10 degrees because then that happens.
Okay.
But these guys in winter, they totally go dormant. You can see this one we didn't clean off. It went dormant in winter. Okay. So in winter it might be totally black, there's nothing. And then in summer it will come out again. So please, 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 if you've got a Venus flytrap, don't throw it away. Okay. In winter it's going to go dormant.
It's much like some of your underwater plants, eh?
Yeah.
Sometimes they disappear and then bing, suddenly you think it's gone and it's back again.
And this is a good sample. That tells me this plant is 3 years old.
Okay.
Because that's a flower deforming. But we remove the flowers because the energy that this flower takes because of the low nutrients is too much for the plant.
Okay.
So we remove that until the plant is massive.
Okay.
And when the plant is about 3 or 4 times that size, we will leave the flower and we will...
Very much like we do with things like Anubias or Amazon sword, Echinodoros, you remove those trailers.
Don't make them,
and so that you can get the bushy growth.
Yeah. This is the one with another winter or that cold temperature spell. Yeah. And if it happens slow, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
They don't color up. Yeah. But it happened in 2 days, or 2 or 3 days. It was very cold. Before that, it was nice and hot. And that's the end result of that.
So if you keep them in a terrarium, you want a closed terrarium probably because you want the humidity, you want the heat.
For carnivorous plants, I will leave it open.
You'll leave it open?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will leave it open.
But it needs to be in a hot spot, so high light.
The temperature isn't because you're going to put LED lights on it and heat, it's not going to be a problem.
Okay, so you don't need to go and get a heat lamp or anything that the reptile guys would use.
And you can see the difference of that one and this. Look at the size of those, and that flower there I will leave.
Okay.
And there's an insect. This one had a spider for a meal.
Okay.
You can see in there.
There we go. All right.
And then this is the best. If anybody asks me what's the best insect catcher, it's this plant.
You can see the insects here on the dew plants. That's why the ones that you sell is in the hotels, as you showed me, because you don't want to sell it like that. It's having a ball of a time catching insects. If
you receive it and it looks like this, you're not going to be really happy.
You don't want the flies. Notice here we have a fly catchers again.
Yes.
And now, you'll see.
The interesting thing about them is...
If I can get the camera in there, I can't.
But
you can see where it's dark, it's all flies up here.
Let me just put my phone away, so... Look in there.
All flies.
So this one's got flies up to there. And this one's got flies up to there. There. So...
and here you see the carnivorous plants.
On the other side I showed you what they look when they're nice and clean. And this is what they look when they've got...
Okay.
This is where we keep our pond lilies. Now, there's a reason why I keep them in a fridge and I sell them out of the fridge.
Okay.
They think it's winter. The moment I give it to a customer and they put it in their pond, they think it's summer.
Okay.
And then they want to send new leaves and new flowers as soon as possible. So if I don't do that, and I just cut off the leaves, they think, okay, it's summer, I've lost my leaves, I will take my time and I will grow. But if you do it like this, they don't take their time.
Okay.
And to give you an idea, this is the rare varieties, the mixes. There's a whole fridge full of them.
Okay. So the bulb is in this
There's 10
sort of,
bulbs in there.
I don't know what to call it, it's kind of like a substrate mix.
It's like sawdust, basically.
Sawdust, yeah.
A sterile sawdust. There's 10 plants per bag in here, and we've got 3. There's 2 more features around the corner here.
I see, and here's some things hanging here.
This is all orchids.
Orchids.
Yeah. We do a massive variety of dwarf orchids. We've got multiple of those. This one I think will fill them easier.
Orchids, terrarium plants are not really.
They are actually nice. The main thing is you just need to keep them wet.
Keep them wet.
If you forget to spray them,
yeah,
that's what happens. But
okay,
you don't throw it away.
In there.
Let me just.
That's what happens when you forget to spray them.
Yeah.
But you say you don't throw it away.
Don't throw it away because it
comes back.
You've got a 50% chance that it might come back. But
Okay.
if you do it the way that we're doing it here, you can see they're growing like mad.
All right.
And then there's the jewels that everybody loves at the bottom.
A very old Red Sea fish farm aquarium converted here.
Yeah.
Yeah, very ingenious.
I make do with. I'm a DIY guy. I make do with what I've got.
I can see.
And then springtails. If you order springtails from us, this is all springtails.
Okay, for terrariums. Now
Yeah,
the idea is they eat the waste.
They eat rotting plants, basically.
Okay, yeah.
And they are essential for a terrarium. In my opinion, if you don't put them in your terrarium,
Is there something you must feed them, or you just leave them?
No, you just leave them. And that's the interesting thing about them. They will lay eggs, and if there's not enough food, the eggs won't hatch.
Okay.
Once there's enough food, the eggs will hatch again.
Okay.
So they will be, once you've introduced them to your terrarium, they will always be there as long as the terrarium was damp.
Okay. I got some springtails in my terrarium as well as some isopods. I've never seen them again. It's been a year. Are they still there?
Yeah, the isopods might not be because they need to breed and then they die because of old age, and their eggs will not stay over. But the springtails will definitely be there as long as it was damp the whole time.
Okay. More or less the space on my hard drive here and my phone is running out. I see it's going to be gone in minutes. Thanks a lot for taking the time, showing us around.
There's a lot more, but with your phone.
And fish tankers, we know now. You can send me those clips. We can work them in. You know now where your plants come from when you buy from Aquatic Plants SA. I'm going to link the website, please support them. And keep on taking care of those domestic denizens of the deep, as well as your submerged and immerged plants.